The universal goal of the International March of the Living is to help inspire all of the participants to fight indifference, racism, and injustice by witnessing the atrocities of the Holocaust. The organization's hope is that the program will help strengthen Jewish identity, connections to Israel, and to build a community of future Jewish leaders. Shosh discussed these worthy aspirations with the CEO of the International March of the Living, Scott Saunders.
And joining us now is Scott. Thank you so much for being here and speaking with us. This year, of course, is the 80th year of the liberation of these concentration camps. I know you want to talk about something specific when it comes to the UK delegation. What can you share with us?
So before I start on the UK delegation, I think we should just look around and reflect on some of the meaning. I mean, Auschwitz is the iconic symbol for the Shoah. It has the gates and everybody in the world knows it. But we must also remember that the 80th anniversary of liberation included other camps. It included the end of the Second World War. And we must pay tribute, obviously, not only in memory to those that were murdered, but the forces of the Allied soldiers, of which Merrill Eisenhower's great-grandfather was the head of the Allied forces, who gave their lives to liberate these camps, especially in Germany and Austria and all over Eastern Europe. Wherever there was murder and destruction, other soldiers came to our rescue, not only ours, but to Western democracy.
Yeah, it's an incredible feeling being here and to see everybody around and to see so many people who are officials that came here to see the incredible March of the Living with 80 Holocaust survivors this year is pretty significant. Yeah. For the 80th year, we have 80 Holocaust survivors. It's extremely significant. I'd like for you to talk about now the UK delegation and what you would like to say there.
So first of all, I mean, the 80 Holocaust survivors, which is so important because, I don't know next year whether we'll still have 80 Holocaust survivors here. But the UK in particular was meant to have 6 today, and unfortunately only had 5. And one in particular, Eve Kugler, who passed away 2 days ago in the UK, and we were all completely devastated. Eve had dedicated her life to Holocaust education in the UK. She was a witness of Kristallnacht, and she came with me on the very first UK March for the Living in 2010. And she was a friend, she was a mentor, and an inspiration to literally thousands of British students all over the country. And I think as much as we are paying tribute to the 80 that are here, for me personally, I shall miss her because I walked with her here. And she took such pride at coming with March of the Living. She went on March of the Living to Dubai to represent the International March of the Living, to speak about Kristallnacht. She was a force and a character that was an inspiration.
What has it emotionally done to the UK delegation here, knowing that she was supposed to come? Tell me how they're feeling.
I think, in particular for the survivors, the other 5 survivors that are here, they are absolutely devastated because they saw her 2 or 3 weeks ago. But I also think for the delegation itself, there's 250 from the UK here today. Some of them wouldn't have known her, but I can tell you that one of the educators, who's a rabbi, flew home this morning to go to her levaya. And they paid tribute to her last night at a special moving ceremony for the UK delegation. It hits hard. It hits hard, but it also shows us how vulnerable we are in that educational process, as these, our survivors are the living testimony. But they will move shortly. Unfortunately, the story is going to move from memory to history, and it is our responsibility and our children's responsibility to maintain their memory and maintain those stories so that people, like Eisenhower's great-grandfather said, one day people will say that never happened. It is our responsibility to make sure that that is not the case.
Right. Every single year, the number of survivors dwindles. How can society, how can other Jews, people who have heard her story and other survivors' story, keep this alive? One day they won't be here. There won't be any survivors left. From your experience working in this field, what can people do to continue learning in the future without this living testimony?
I mean, I think there's 2 things, and I know that there's an awful amount of educational programs globally that have looked at different ways of virtual reality and different fields. I personally think that the 2 key areas, one is we filmed our survivors. We filmed Eve actually in Germany, outside her home where she came from, at the train station where her parents went. We filmed her. And that film is there. We filmed other survivors in location, not just in a classroom, not just on a screen, but in location to bring a sense of the real truth, because it was on location. And that's one of the things that is so important about coming to a place like here. You can read it in a history book. You can see it in a TV movie or a documentary. But when you stand here, and that's why we must keep bringing students, we must keep bringing young people, because education, constant reminders of where hatred can lead. And by the way, not just hatred towards Jews, but hatred towards anybody. I will fight against hatred against anybody.
Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you speaking with me, and we'll make sure to always keep her memory alive.
Thank you.
May it always stay alive, and I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank
but
you so much.
her memory will live on, and that's exactly what will continue to be here and live here as the International March of the Living happens
Thank you.
every year. Thanks.
Thank you so much.